Welcome to The Stranger, a game show. Christopher, a.k.a. Ixnon Lochlann. Welcome, and thank you for welcoming me to the mountains. Okay, so we're going to do some pre-show, the show, some post-show. For the pre-show, first question is, how do we know each other?
I first encountered you when you unexpectedly showed up live on PBK's live stream, and then you showed up on Mark D. Parker's channel with the House of Woo. That is how we met online.
And, you know, we both kind of hang out on this same digital space. Some people call it TLC. There's another thing called the Jordan Peterson sphere. Some people call the whole thing a flotilla. Many names for human beings interacting digitally, but also in flesh and blood life. How do you explain the flotilla that you and I are loosely a part of?
I would explain it as, well, probably most generally people having like honest, good faith conversations on the internet. A lot of it centered around, downstream of Jordan Peterson, hence the Peterson sphere, but a lot of it centered around Paul Vanderklay and his interest in community building.
Beautiful. Okay, we're going to go through the 4 rules of the game show. Rule number 1, only submit to the question. Don't submit to me. Don't submit to the wind. Well, maybe submit to the wind. Feel free to push back against anything. You know, I've collected these questions, but they are not precisely my questions. So I'll take ownership for them because this is my game show. But you're gonna have to determine the meaning for yourself. I can only help you so far. Rule 2. Adopt the role of the stranger. You and I are estranged.
We are both strange and estranged somewhat. So, other than being here in Alaska,
Other than being here in Alaska in the mountains. Okay. Rule 3. Share your frames. How do you see the world? What is your worldview? What are things that we should know about you as a stranger that would help us to at least kind of pinpoint you on some sort of intellectual, philosophical, religious, political map? What is central to your identity?
Yes, that I think would be hard for me to articulate up front without rambling incoherently, maybe. But that would be good fodder for any follow-up questions that the host might have. And yeah, share your frames. I will at least be honest about my frames if I'm not 100% upfront with them for some reason, I think.
So is what you're saying that before you answer a question, based on the question, you're going to say, this is kind of the frame I'm looking at this question through, and then you're going to answer? Is that what you're saying?
I think more like I will answer a question, and the host might follow up with a question about how I framed my answer. Might be a logical way to do that.
Well, the problem is that this is not a logical game show. So give us a top 5. Can you do a top 5? Top 5 frames. You don't even have to go into them. If you want to just do like a 5-point list of like this. So we paint us a couple brush strokes.
Okay, we can do that. I'm a Christian, largely reformed theologically. I'm a nerd. Let's see, I live in Alaska. I like, small towns over big cities. Let's see, 2 more framing type things would be, I love music, and what else? Yeah, I
got one.
grew up. Oh,
Go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Well, on the way here, you were telling me that in early June there's a Ren Fair, and it seems like you're a fan of Ren Fair. Not that is a frame you see the world through, but that is something that I thought was interesting in the brief period that I got to know you.
Yes, I that was covered under the I'm a nerd thing. So, yeah, I enjoy fantasy, sci-fi stories, and there's a lot of framings that are kind of implicit in that. So,
Okay, well, rule 4, final rule, except that for now I am just the host. I'm going to get this jacket off this bush. Going to attempt to put that on in a smooth and illogical manner. And Ethan Marshall Kai is going to recede a little bit. The host is going to come forward a little bit, and we'll have the host and we'll have the stranger, and then we can proceed with the game show. Excellent. I knew this was going to happen. I knew, yeah. And we're back. But before we proceed any further, let's break to commercial.
Summer Solstice, TLC Open Mic, June 20th. Join me and my internet friends, that's you, for an evening of sharing and self-expression. Okay? It'll be live from my driftwood fort on the sandy beach of the Cosmic Navel, aka the Earth Dome that I built in my backyard. Okay, this is real. Bring something to share from your heart. A poem, a song, interpretive scarf dancing. Okay, this is a safe space. Whatever it is, you'll have up to 5 minutes to express yourself on this groundless ground. And all you have to do is just click the link to sign up, and we'll put you on the list. One other thing, we will be accepting pre-recorded submissions, but we're going to prioritize persons who show up in the flesh, in this fleshless flesh. Okay? I can't wait to be with you. By and by.
Wrestling Stories of the Bible. Chapter 1. The Man, the Woman, and the Snake. The beginning. There once was a CEO who started a new promotion. He had a great book planned, and only he knew all the programs that would lead to the ultimate payoff. He created an arena and put the squared circle in the middle. In the ring, he put a new character named the Man. The plan was for him to inherit the whole company someday, but he was super green. He was going to have to learn the whole business. The promoter set up everything the man would need to train, but there was one thing that was off limits: the juice. So first, the promoter bought a whole stable of characters before the man, and the man got to name each one and figure out their gimmick. He worked a dark match with each one, but the program was missing a draw. The CEO knew it was not good for the man to be alone. So the promoter shut down the show and revealed that pairing him with a bunch of animal gimmicks was really part of the ultimate rib by revealing the perfect second, the woman. She was more than just a valet. She was the perfect partner to help the man in training, sparring, and business, and even in the ring, the ultimate mixed tag team. The man and the woman were married, and the show was ready to begin. Now, the promoter had big plans for the man, but he started him at the bottom as a worker to learn the whole business, how to set up and tear down, and even security.
All right, here we go. Track 2.
And we're back from commercial. Okay. So, if you know it, say it with us. You are the picker. I am the plucker. Together we tucker out. Okay, so, somewhere in here there's a card that I was supposed to have in my pocket. It's the question 0 card. So we're going to start with question 0 like we always do. Christopher, tell us about the home you grew up in. Also, this question was asked of me during a rando I had by Christian Baxter. Link in description.
Yes, the home I grew up in, I was born in Seattle, Washington, but my parents moved us up to Sitka, Alaska when I was 2, and that's where I grew up. My dad had got a job at the pulp mill there, so he moved up there. He went up, found a place that he could live, whatever. Then we came up a few weeks later, and he was working at the pulp mill there. We grew up in the First Baptist Church there. Sitka is, I would say, it's very much like a hobbit town. There's a lot of, small town squabbling hobbit stuff. The first time my parents drove by the church to check it out there was a Wednesday night, and the parking lot was full. And it turns out the reason it was full is that they were having a business meeting to see whether they were going to kick out the pastor.
Oh,
And so that's where we ended up joining that. My parents ended up joining that church, and that's where we went to church. My dad had got a job at the pulp mill there. There was a strike going on, and some of the people in the church were the people on strike, which is that tells you a bit about the environment of Sitka. It was, I might call it, a small drinking town with a fishing problem, and so that's there. When I was a kid, my dad wanted. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when we were growing up, my dad had this plan that he was going to build a boat to live on, but my mom decided she wanted a house first, and so we moved from the trailer we were living in. We went there trying to buy this house, and that fell through, and so we ended up moving to another small place, and we ended up moving around like almost every 2 years for a lot of my time growing up there. What else? Grew up going to Southern Baptist Church. You have a Awana program going on in the school that was very influential on me. And then after that faded out, there was people who did. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. After that faded out and stopped happening, we there was a Bible drill thing where you memorize verses and then try to find them in the Bible as quickly as possible.
Yes, I know those.
Yes, and so I did that for a few years, and with that you get to like travel around to other churches and other towns in the association if you do well enough.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, with being a nerd, I also picked up, Bible nerd stuff.
Give us a brief description of Bible nerd stuff.
Bible nerd stuff, basically the bookish type. Like I said, I tend to be like Reformed theology. They're very on the bookish, study, the people who take sola scriptura seriously and try to actually do it,
I do know.
Yeah, so what else can I say?
That's a good description.
Yeah, part of us, part of us moving around after the pulp mill closed down. We moved out to the campground, and we're like the campground host for a few years, so that was we moved to there, so spent 2 years. We were also homeschooled after I was in 4th grade. fifth grade on, my parents decided to homeschool us because that's when the school decided they didn't want the parents involved so much.
Okay.
And they were like, before that, parents come in. After that, they were like, parents go away. We're going to take over it. So after that, that's when my parents pulled us out of school, the public school there, and homeschooled us. So, yeah. Then we went out to the camp, lived out the campground there, spent a few years, running around in the woods and doing all that. Then Then from there, the next place we moved on to was a boat that we were thinking about buying from a guy, but then that didn't happen. Someone else offered him cash up front for buying it, and so we moved off elsewhere. And then I got to be old enough that I was graduating high school, and went there. I got a job, right out of high school. I kind of got a job working nights at a grocery store. Did that, and then I decided to move up to Anchorage to try to go to college. And then I was trying to go to college without accumulating debt, so I was trying to go to college and work at the same time.
Good for you.
I tried that. I wasn't able to pull it off, so I stopped going to college. And yeah. That's out of the home I grew up in now. So.
Okay, so walking back through kind of your history and your childhood, is there any 2 or 3 hour period of time where you go, I wish I could relive this 3 hours from my childhood?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of that would probably revolve around spending time outdoors, and I can already, go outdoors and do that whenever I want. So I'm not interested in reliving.
Okay. What about, is there a book that you read when you were younger where you go, I wish I could experience rereading that book? Like this book was just it blew me away as a kid or as a teen. Anything like that?
The first book that I actually got into reading was Jubal Sackett by Louis L'Amour.
Okay.
He's a famous Western author. We had several books by him, and that was the one that I got. That was when I started to enjoy reading, was when I read that book.
I'm sure it's different, but I remember when my dad first sat down with me and was like, son, you need to watch your first John Wayne movie. And it was just like the Western myth. I thought it was so cool. I don't know if it's how similar that is, but yeah, the myth of the gunman and just the whole Western thing I always thought was really neat.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of John Wayne movies, so yeah, Rio Bravo was a perennial favorite.
Okay, well, I'm going to hand you back the microphone, and I'm going to reach into this bag, and you say stop, and I'm going to pluck a card out, okay?
Excellent, sounds good. Stop.
Okay, question 1. This comes from Chris Howard. Chris Howard is an utter gem, and no sarcasm, genuinely, Chris Howard is a running inspiration to me. The question is, Christopher, if you and I end up in prison, how did we get there?
We were probably caught smuggling something. yeah, that's probably the best way me and someone else would end up in prison is like smuggling illegal contraband.
Were we smuggling by land, by air, or by sea?
I don't know. We would have been caught on land even if we were smuggling elsewhere. That's, yeah. There's a good chance we'd be smuggling by sea, but then like get caught when we docked.
Do you think the contraband that we were smuggling, do you think it was worth it?
I would definitely think it was worth it.
I think so too.
Stop.
From Sherry, who is full of wisdom, and you'll find her over at the YouTube channel Grail Country. Question: how does truth manifest in a religiously and culturally diverse community? Good luck.
How does truth manifest in a religiously and culturally diverse community? That's, let me see. Probably the shortest answer would be with goodness and beauty. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably the most general, concise answer I can think of.
If I asked you to define truth, how would you take a stab at defining truth? And do you think truth manifests? Do you think manifesting is a good word for truth?
It's probably an adequate word. Because when I think truth, I have goodness and beauty floating around the back of my head also. I think what I think of is defining something like love is like the perfect expression of truth, mix of truth, goodness, and beauty would be love. That's, because God is love. God is the highest thing, and truth, goodness, and beauty are like the transcendentals there. So that's how I currently think about that.
Did you define truth?
No, I did not yet. Yeah, so
I'm trying to dodge the question.
well, yes, the trick is that you say truth, goodness, and beauty, and you can define all those things together, and it makes you can kind of make a more coherent picture of three things than just one thing by itself. But yeah, truth by itself gets kind of tricky. You say things like reality is associated with truth, but reality, people don't have a solid term for that or definition of that most of the time either. It's people talk about physical reality as something that's solid, objectively there. That might not necessarily be the case all the time. And the word reality also comes from the root of relationship. So how real something is it real, connected to how you relate to it and what your relationship with it is. That's probably the best I can do with truth by itself right now, anyway. Okay.
Okay. From the author, M.L. Thomas Sartori, who spent much of his life kidnapped. There's not really a question here, if I'm being honest.
There's not really a question. Is that what the card says? Or is it just his name and a blank piece of paper? Am I supposed to react to Sartori as a concept? Or... And I forget which Sartori this is. The author, right? It was
the author, yes.
Man. I haven't paid too much attention to the Sartoris to like clearly distinguish the author. I know there's the San Antonio and there's the author. I think there's at least one other Sartori. And I have not paid enough attention to distinguish any of them beyond that. I do like the construction green screen video. That was very good.
How many Sartoris do you think it takes to screw in a light bulb?
At least 2. It would probably take 3. I think it takes 3 Sartoris to screw in a light bulb.
Which Sartori do you think represents truth?
I think I have to say San Antonio Sartori.
Hot take, I love it. All right, you heard it here, folks. San Antonio Sartori represents truth. Well, next question. Well. From Jason Almond, a man who takes forgiveness seriously. Question. Toilet paper, over or under? Good way to figure out who is and who isn't a monster.
Technically false. Because some people have cats, and if you normally under would be a monstrous type thing, but if you don't do it the under way, the cats will unroll all your toilet paper. So you can't. This doesn't actually work in practice.
How do you determine who is and isn't a monster? What is a monster? Also, you said that you're into fantasy, so if this isn't a good answer, the people are going to be disappointed.
I mean, a monster is technically anything unnatural. I mean, you can get, I don't know. The D&D Monster Manual has a good assortment of monsters. Or H.P. Lovecraft has a good, description of encounters with monsters. Let's see, and how do I determine who is a monster? Or what is a monster? That's interesting. I generally, experiment with it. I mean, because I don't know. Curiosity killed the cat, and I like poking at things. So just because it looks monstrous and I should not poke it doesn't mean I'm not going to. And, so that will get you into trouble, but also, maybe sometime in the future might actually yield a good result, surprisingly.
Last night I was walking my dog on a well-covered, well-populated trail, and there was a moose 3 feet away from me. Should I poke the moose?
No, do not poke the moose. Moose have been described as monsters. They are, bigger than you are, stronger than you are, faster than you are, probably. Yeah, so do not poke the moose. You leave the moose alone unless you're going to shoot him.
Oh, we got two. We got two. It must be an act of fate. Can I combine these questions? Oh, it's question 0. I knew I needed that one. It was an act of fate. Okay. From my fiancé, Jane, whom I love. Love you, Jane. What TV or film character would you want to embody in your current life? What TV or film character would you want to embody in your current life?
Which one would I want to embody? That's probably different than what I actually would embody.
You can do both.
Well, there was a 100 question thing that assigned you a TV character based on how you answer those questions that I did, and it gave me one of the second or third string Stark characters from Game of Thrones. Yes, I don't remember which one it was, but it wasn't one of the big name guys. He was like a lesser involved of the Stark characters from that show. I haven't seen it, so I don't really. But what would I want to embody? Probably Indiana Jones.
Follow-up 1, do you have the hat or do you have the whip? Follow-up 2, why do you want to embody Indiana Jones?
I do not have the hat or whip yet. Yeah, not yet. Why Indiana Jones? Probably because I saw Indiana Jones Star Wars like a lot growing up, and Harrison Ford was a carpenter in real life before he was an actor, or like in between acting, but that's probably why Indiana Jones.
So it sounds like sometimes it's helpful to be a carpenter before you enter the world stage.
Yes, it's good to have like a grounded profession or hobby, if not profession. But yeah, you don't want to be like something ridiculous like a philosopher or something like that. I mean, I don't need to rant about philosophers right now, I guess, but
Can you please give us a 30-second rant about philosophers? Because I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
Okay, basically there's nothing worthwhile in philosophical books ever. You don't need to like sit there and read books about things. Mel Brooks' History of the World Part 1, his character Comicus goes up to the unemployment line and introduces himself as a stand-up philosopher, to which B. Arthur replies, "Oh, a bullshit artist." And yeah, that's there's nothing else to say about philosophers. They think they know things they don't, and and they should like go out and actually like just take up carpentry or something, and they'd like be way better off than sitting down writing books that other people who don't know how to read will try to read, and snowball into the French Revolution or postmodernism or modern day California. I don't know.
There it is, a 30-second rant about philosophy. Also, before we proceed to the next question, I don't know how I'm being seen right now, but imagine you're me. Like, just imagine this man. No, imagine this man in an Indiana Jones hat. I'm telling you, I can see it. I know you can see it. The hat fits. Somebody buy this man an Indiana Jones hat.
Stop.
Ah, man. It was going to happen eventually. This card is a reversal. The next question goes to Ethan.
The next question goes to Ethan. So, do you want me to? Oh, I could pick a question, I guess.
Can't pick.
Oh, okay, but I can like have you pick a question for you. Stop.
I was really hoping that I'd pick another reversal and get out of this reversal. See, the problem now is that people know that there's prompts in here, which means you can send me questions, but you could also send prompts. And this is when the show starts to go off the rails, because soon there'll be prompts leading to other prompts, and So we're only getting started. Okay. Ooh. From the Party USA, who the general sent me to. I'll link the channel and the conversation that I did enjoy listening to. Question. Are you going to finally vote for the AGI? Now, I assume the AGI means artificial general intelligence. The question is interesting because it says, am I going to finally vote? As if someone's waiting for me to vote? Although it is true, I've never voted federally. Which makes me a terrible person in all kinds of ways. And also, it makes me someone that you can't really pin to one side or the other, because I never have. So, sorry, that just like water off a duck's back. Am I going to finally vote for the AGI? Do you know of any ballots where the AGI is on that I could vote? I'm not even sure how I could vote.
I don't think you can currently vote for an AGI, but Isaac Asimov's iRobot, eventually they get on, will be on the ballot, and you will vote for them.
Okay. Would I vote for an AGI if it was on the ballot and I was... I don't think I would. There have been times where I've nearly voted because I've always felt like I'm a bit of a mercenary for hire. And it's like, if you sell me a good pitch, I will come out and vote. But I've always felt like, well, this is we'll see if maybe you have any follow-ups to this. I've always felt like the lesser of two evils is still evil, and I've felt like, okay. And I say this as subjectively towards myself. Like, I don't think this is true of you or anyone listening. Like, I don't mean to say that, well, the lesser of two evils is still evil, so therefore I didn't want to participate in evil, which means all of you are participating in evil. I'm not trying to take it that far. But for me, I always felt like I just can't take part in this. I'm not supposed to be doing this. And I'm 33, so I'm not that old. I still got plenty of time to change the error of my young and foolish ways. I do not think, I will not, I shall not, I never shall vote for the AGI. Do you have any follow-ups?
If you're not voting for the AGI, what are you doing?
If I'm not voting for the AGI, what am I doing? Stranger, I'm hosting a game show where I meet all kinds of interesting people, and sometimes we go to the mountains. Sometimes we have this digital interaction that ends up with us texting a week later, and sometimes I meet somebody on a game show who then goes off to go on a date, and I get to be like, I'm excited for you in your flesh and blood life, and we're doing human stuff, and AGI is going to have a part to play with the human stuff, but we can't stop doing the human stuff. We can't stop interacting with strangers. We can't stop going to the mountains with strangers. I don't know this guy. I don't know what he has planned for me. This game show might not end well.
Good answer. All right.
These cards, just everyone, I'm just like, ooh, fun. But before the fun, let's break to commercial.
Midwestuary 2025, August 22nd through the 24th in Elmhurst, Illinois. A weekend you won't want to miss with special guests Cale Zeldin, Paul Vanderklay, Rod Dreer, Elizabeth Oldfield, John Vervaeke, and Jonathan Peugeot. Midwestuary 2025, the Fellowship of the Spirit. Stay tuned for more details. Visit us at midwestuary.com for ongoing updates.
Now, one day, a wrestler called the Snake came into the locker room. He was the most talented worker on the card, guaranteed to be a main eventer. He was smart and knew how to act like a good hand. His ring psychology was so good that to this day, the fans aren't sure if the Snake was supposed to be a heater, if this was a worked shoot, and the promoter wanted him to jerk the curtain with a hot shot, or maybe the CEO just knew that the Snake had an angle to do what he wanted. When he decided to shoot on the woman, it doesn't seem like he was aiming for the strap. He didn't even care about getting that sting money. He had plans of going into business for himself, not just as a worker, but to become his own agent, in charge of the book, with sights on taking over the whole business. But in order to do so, he knew that the man and woman would need to be future endeavored. The Snake approached the woman as if he was a manager and asked her why the promoter wouldn't let them use the supplements in the gym. He really knew how to sell, and she told him that the promoter hadn't forbidden them from using all the supplements, only the juice. The Snake started telling her that this was not a kayfabe rule, but that the promoter was keeping the juice protected from the man and the woman because he was a closet champion who didn't want to put over the man or the woman. He was worried it would make them as strong as he was, and they might even beat him in clean wrestling. Seeing that there's nothing dangerous about the juice and that it will make them stronger, the woman decides to take it. The man was standing there, letting the woman be his mouthpiece. He was probably worried about the snake poaching the woman. So when she decides to call it in the ring, he decides that he's going to no-sell the snake's angle and play along. The man did not want to be a Janetti. If the woman is going to turn, he is going to turn with her. He took a hit, and suddenly both of them realized it had been a screw job, but a legit one, not part of the work. And the man and the woman had broken kayfabe big time. They needed to get rid of their go-away heat, so they worked out a new gimmick as Mr. and Mrs. Figtree. When they heard the CEO coming, they tried to hide backstage. The CEO got out the stick and called out to the man, asking, "Where are you?" "I heard your promo from the ring, and I hid, because I broke kayfabe." "Who told you that you broke kayfabe? Have you taken the juice I told you not to?" "It was the valet that you gave me. She made the call, and I tried to sell it." So the CEO asked the woman what happened, and she told him, "The snake planned to shoot on me. He saw I was an easy mark." Just when the snake thought he might get away with the phantom title change, the CEO let him know it was going to be a dusty finish.
And we're back from commercial. From Clara the Sociologist, who will be studying your response. What brings you joy in your digital and online life?
What brings me joy in my digital and online life is, I don't know, meeting people, I think. Yeah, I think that's probably just it. Just meeting different people brings me joy in my online life. There's a time when I would have said that the answer, my online life, the joy came from like gaming and winning, but I've grown out of that, I guess. So.
Okay, you say gaming, winning? From gaming and winning to meeting people digitally, what happened there? Was that just time and age? Was something carved out of you? Did you have an experience where you went, "Oh, this thing's better than that thing, so I want to do more of this and less of this"? How do we get from gaming and winning to meeting people?
How do we get from one to the other is if you play games online, you notice that there's, a lot of called toxic behavior associated with winning. That's the standard lingo there. And so, I know I don't want to be those guys. And so I don't want to be those guys, that I try to find something else I can be, and that means I end up meeting more people and realizing that the people are the important part and not the game.
What was your favorite online game?
My favorite online games were probably StarCraft and World of Warcraft, and I don't know, didn't quite make the favorite, but the League of Legends MOBA stuff was also fun.
I'm going to resist the temptation to ask who his favorite person he's met online is. We'll will not ask that question. Ooh, this is a good follow-up. From McMosav, who told me he wasn't ignoring me, but he couldn't think of a question. But then I heard CC Mool, very talented artist, quote a McMosav question. So I've stolen CC's quote of McMosav as our question today. Question. What is the importance of mentorship?
Mentorship is like the way you primarily learn things by, you like grow up in life, you see actions and you mimic actions, and either keep mimicking or decide not to keep mimicking as best as you can. And that's mentorship. That's basically the related to apprenticeship. You have the mentor and the apprentice or whatever, and that's how you like mimic things and participate with them primarily or initially. And that's probably why it's important for humans and development as such.
How is mimicry and participation different?
Let's see. How would they be different? Because, well, I think mimicry is an attempt at participation. So, I mean, although it is possible to like mimic without actually participating. So, I don't know, we could probably like have another hour-long conversation trying to tease that out if we wanted to, but
Well, we might have to save that for another day, but perhaps we will have that conversation. 2 more questions.
stop.
From Paul Vanderklay's video on November 30th, 2017, titled, Jordan Peterson Raises 3 Questions in Me. 1. Why do young atheists find him compelling? 2. Why do conservative Christians find him compelling? 3. Why do I find him compelling? And the question, what does it take to compel disparate groups of people that you don't know?
So, am I answering just the last question or the other first 3 about why I find him compelling?
You're going to have to determine your own meaning here.
Okay, I think why people find Jordan Peterson compelling is he points out symbolic relationships. I think that's the thing there. And I think what it takes to be compelling to disparate groups of people is an orientation towards a higher thing.
you're pretty good at like answering in like one sentence or maybe a sentence and a half. This is impressive to me. I will not lie to you.
I know lots of people who like to talk, who will talk. I like to be concise as much as possible. I probably should like talk more, but
Step by step. All right. Final question. Here's the final question. Okay. It's blank. Is there anything you want this to say?
Is there anything I want that card to say? I don't think so. It's a blank card. I don't know why I would want it to not be a blank card and say anything particular. It should stay blank for now, and we will find something for it to say later.
What if it wasn't a blank card? What if what I said was written on that blank card, and so that it was not a blank card at all? What if that was possible?
That is possible. Yes. I don't know. Interacting with a blank canvas and what I want it to be is not something I do off the top of my head generally. So, yeah. This was a Michael Malice thing about how you see a blank canvas. Some people see it as like, I don't know, like a waste or something, and some people see it as an opportunity. So, yeah. I don't know. Unexpected opportunity is not something I probably see as much as I should.
Okay. Before we move into the post show, one more commercial break.
We're back.
Because you've done this, you're cursed. Cursed beyond all the jobbers and low-carders. Cursed to slink on your belly and eat dust all your life. The CEO tells the man and the woman that he will write off the whole program, but he will send them down to the developmental league, and the man will have to do garbage wrestling to make a living, while the snake slivers off to parts unknown. But although this match ends in a fall, he shares his plans for the revamp. I'm declaring war between you and the woman, between your stable and hers. He'll give you a head drop. You'll wound his heel. The fall is an ending of an era. But this promise hints at the beginning, with the hope of a baby face who will win the everlasting strap, a champion whose reign will never end. The CEO gave the fig leaf man and woman a burial and repacked them a new gimmick, a tough leather look to show the rest of the creatures who's boss. He gave them a big push to keep any mid-carders from interfering in their work and to let everyone know their place on the card was protected. Then the CEO picked up the stick and made one last promo. Now that the man and the woman have teased a heel turn, I do not want them to reach out and grab the strap, which is hanging from the ceiling of the arena in the center of the ring. So he put his glorified jobbers in the gorilla position to act as enforcers and keep everyone out of the big arena until it was time for the main event, and put the man and the woman on a one-way bus out of the big city.
And we're back from commercial break. Okay, thank you. We've made it close to the end. We're both, I'm sure your hands are as cold as my hands. It's freezing up here in the mountains. Would you like to give any feedback on the experience?
I enjoyed it. I like the concept. It provides interesting structure to the randos conversation thing. So, yeah.
I'm gonna undon the jacket now, but there's one final question. Did you learn anything new about yourself?
I don't know. I think I will learn something about myself as I reflect on this, more than I learned anything in the moment that I can identify.
If we schedule this as a live premiere, so this goes up on YouTube and there's a little chat room, would you like to join us for that and answer that question in real time as it's asked?
Maybe if we schedule that right, I could do that in the Are you talking? I could do that. Well, depends on what it is. I could definitely answer it in the chat, live chat. I could post something there. I could, depending on what it is, I could hop on screen and we could, or something. Well, no, that doesn't work. This is a premiere. That's not a live thing. I'm thinking about it wrong. Yeah, and I could always leave a comment after the video after it's posted. So.
Okay, well, we are no longer estranged. And may our crosses path. Ta-ta for now. There's the top of the mountain.
Which we cannot make it to because Ethan does not have the right shoes for climbing up the snow.
Yeah, don't ask me why I walked out of the house wearing Crocs. Well, they're not Crocs, actually. They're Merrell, which is much better than Crocs, but they're not any better at climbing mountains. No, we did make it somewhere. I mean, it's hard to complain even if you make it near the top. It's still pretty great.
Yeah, public service announcement.
That's where we are.
Slow, mellow with increasing confidence, okay? Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.